Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Thompson. I am the first vice president of the Men's Technical Committee of the FIG and a member of the FIG Safeguarding Commission. I was very honored and very proud to be asked to present together with my good friend and Hiro SATO of Japan on the topic of athlete-centeredness. Hiro, what can I say? You are a current men's artistic national head coach of Japan and also a very important member of the FIG Education Commission. You are the former personal coach of the gymnast widely regarded as the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Mr. Kohei Uchimura, two-time Olympic all-around champion and winner of multiple world and Olympic medals. Hiro has been making an extremely positive impact on the gymnastics community, not only within his country, but also internationally. Concurrent with his role as national coach, he has taught various FIG academies and coaching seminars and webinars. As a result of that work, he has received multiple recognitions, including FIG Coaching Brevet, Excellent Coach Performance Award, and Ministry of Education Award. I'd like to welcome you, Hiro, and we look forward to hearing and learning your advice on how to incorporate an athlete-centered approach in the daily training environment of our gymnasts. Again, thank you very much.
Such a nice introduction. Thank you very much, Jeff. Such an honor to be introduced by you, and I really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. The honor and the pleasure is all mine, Hiro. We look forward to seeing your presentation. If you're ready, you can begin now. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hiroaki Sato. I'm very, very excited to be able to talk about such an important topic, that is athlete-centered approach. So before I start my presentation, I'd like to start by thanking FIG and FIG Education Commission for making this happen. I just try to explain my thoughts on athlete-centered as much as I can. I hope you can enjoy my presentation today. An overview of the presentation is to share my understanding of athlete-centered from the coach's perspective. And I strongly believe that there are three key elements to take the athlete-centered approach more effectively. Then I can give you some practical examples, especially after the Tokyo Olympics, leading up to last year's World Championships. And then this is the ultimate question, that how to make the athlete want to try. How to make the athlete, want to try spontaneously. That's very important. So I would like to talk about this, and then conclusion. So this is going to be a short presentation, but please keep in mind that this is my just personal view of athlete-centered approach. So please see this presentation as one of the examples. To achieve the athlete-centered, I identified three key elements to be successful. That is trust, communication, and co-design. I think that the trust and communication are pretty much self-explanatory, that everybody does understand that the importance of it and meanings of it. That the co-design is to work together, work side by side with the athletes and coaches, the officials. I think that as an organization, we have to move towards the same direction. So we set a goal together and trying to find out the ways how to go there. So it is very important, these three things. Let me put it this way, so that the trust is the base of the pyramid. That is the foundation of the pyramid. And then the constant communication reinforces the trust. Once you establish the solid foundation of trust and communication, you can actually work together much more easily and smoothly, and then we can work towards the same goal. So that is the idea of the pyramid. In the next slide, I will talk more specifically about my role. I've been working with the Japanese Federation for 7 years now, and currently I'm acting as a head coach of the national team. So as a head coach, we have to wear a lot of different hats and take responsibilities, such as team management and daily coaching and planning and coaching at the national and junior national training camp, and coordination and management of the relevant selection policies and criteria, and obviously the national international competitions and miscellaneous duties and more. So we have to do a lot of things as a national coach. But all of these duties and tasks are for the betterment of the athletes. Athlete is the center, so everything you could do to help improve athletes' performances and well-being. So as I said in the previous slide, the trust comes first. So what I did was to establish mutual trust with the coaches, because the coaches play a crucial role in athlete-centered environment, and every single club and university is different. So they have own issues. So the key point is to be a good listener first. Need to understand the situation. I think that the personal coaches know about their athletes so much better than I know. So I need to trust them, and then they need to trust me. So that's why I think it is very, very important to spend time with the coaches to build trust. Then find out solutions and make suggestions. Once the coaches have agreed with my idea, I communicate with the athletes. But again, I need to remember that to be a good listener is the priority. So I need to understand their situation and vision, because each individual gymnast is different. It is highly contextual, and we need to know the circumstances first. Then they create an environment where the athletes feel comfortable to discuss topics. Like this picture shows that during the national training camp we had some sort of meetings and we discussed a variety of topics, and I try to create the friendly atmosphere that everybody can speak easily and comfortably. So that sort of things I always keep in mind. And the direction should be precise, backed by science. I have to study all the time. Then the message should be concise. I don't want to beat around the bush. You have to be very concise and easy to understand. Here is the practical examples of what we did, especially after the Tokyo Olympics. So we put a lot of emphasis on sticking landing to improve the hit percentage of landings, because we missed the team goal by 1/10, about 1/10, and all round by less than 1/10, and floor exercise title and high bar title by less than 1/10. So everybody felt that the importance of landing. We want to stick landing, because if you stack landing, the consequence would have been different. So we sort of learned a lesson. Once the objective is set, we started to reverse engineer how to make it happen. So this involves a lot of communication, discussion, because we need to design the training program together. So not just one way that I give them the training program. This is just one way. I'd like to create the both way, that constant communication. The gymnasts have amazing ideas, so much better than me. The coaches have better ideas. So everybody has different opinions, but trying to find out the most effective and efficient ways to improve our performance. So that's the goal. And we decided to do some sort of exercises together, which worked out really well eventually. Since this is not the technical presentation, I'm not going to talk about the exact training programs that we did to improve our landing techniques. Having said that, I am more than happy to share with you about the idea when it comes to creating those training programs. That is, to be scientific, to maximize the benefit of training, to be sustainable, because in the long run, continuously we want to work on, and to be enjoyable. Without being able to enjoy, it is very difficult to continue to work towards the same goal. So 3 things I always keep in mind. I remember one time that one of the athletes asked me about the specific landing position where Kohei Uchimura does, because his question was, every gymnast is different body composition, and what is the effective and efficient way to land to observe the force? So that was very interesting because I hadn't really thought much about that before, and we arranged the landing specific workshop during the training camps and pre-elite training camps as well, and everybody got involved and everybody was curious to know what exactly is going on and scientifically, and make an analysis of it, and that was very nice environment to discuss, and coaches and athletes involved. And also I gave them the opportunity to discuss how they think, how they feel scientifically proven to be a best position, but feel differently, probably feel uncomfortable to land that position and things like that. So it was very nice atmosphere in the competition and not the training camp. To be an enjoyable part, I think that many of you already know about the stick comp, so that we can add the difficulty of the skills once you stick landing and then move on to the next. And perhaps we can set a task to perform 3 to 5 skills in your routines and try to stick dismount at the end of the routine during the training camp. Also, possible team competitions, like we team up with a couple of gymnasts together to do a leg stick competition. So we took many different approaches, but as a result of the sort of athlete-driven, athlete-centered approach, we were able to improve the hit percentage of landing significantly, considering the last year's World Championships. To conclude my presentation, in my personal view, athlete-centered can be achieved when trust, communication, and co-design are appropriately in place. As you can see on your right-hand side, that FIG strongly emphasized the athlete-centered philosophy. The 10 Golden Rules of Gymnastics is an awareness campaign reflecting the strong desire within the gymnastics community to ensure a safe and respectful environment in the sport. You can download the 10 Golden Rules of Gymnastics through the FIG website, so please check this out. Okay, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. It was a quick and short presentation about the athlete-centered approach from my perspective. But I hope you have enjoyed what I said, and as much as I did with the Jeff in the previous seminar. And I'd like to emphasize the fact that thank you very much, Jeff, for your contribution and collaboration. I know you are very busy, but I think that you made this seminar more special. So thank you very much, everyone, and see you next time.
That was a wonderful presentation, Hiro. Thank you so much. I learned a lot, and you begin to think that at a certain age you know everything, and then you realize you have so much more to learn. And when I listen to you speak, I realize that all of us can continue to learn through our entire life. Lifetime learners, we call it at my university. It brought up some very interesting points for me to think about, and that I hope you can expand upon for the coaches and others who are watching this. You speak about trust, and I agree. I think trust is probably the most important thing that you can have before you even begin to do your, let's call it, technical work. What are some ways in which you especially perhaps when you came on at first as the national coach for Japan, came into that role. What did you do and how did you relate to the gymnast to try to build that trust initially?
Thank you for your questions. I think that building a trust is the most challenging part, especially since I took the job as a national head coach. So I wanted to spend time in the gym, but outside of the gym, or like going to the dinner or stuff like that, or just have discussion with the coaches, not only the gymnastics topics, but also a different topics to just to connect to each other, same as the athletes. So I think that spending time more with them, that'll be very, very helpful to build the trust. So I started to understand their feelings, like true feelings and the mindset gradually. It took me long time to start to understand their actual personality because I didn't want to make just superficial relationships. It's more like a deep, like you said in your presentation, very connected, deep, meaningful relationship with the athletes. So yeah, this is what I did. And yeah, since a couple of years ago, I started to show that sort of good relationship actually helped me to give them advice and more confidently. So I think it is working out really well for now.
Thank you very much for that answer. That absolutely resonates with me. I believe that the coach and the athlete relationship is one of the most important relationships that a person can have in their life. And as we know with any relationship, without trust, it's impossible to build and to fully develop a relationship. So I appreciate so much how you took that time to get to know them as people. And that's what I was trying to talk about in my presentation about the holistic development. These are all people who have their own issues in their life and psychology, and we don't know what their situation is like. And getting to know that situation, we know that we can help them better achieve their potential. So thank you very much for that answer, and thank you for coaching in that manner. I really agree with this, the way you talk about the goal setting and working together, the importance of that goal setting together, and this setting of realistic goals. How do you work with the gymnast to make sure that they understand that their goals will define everything that they need to do after that in terms of the amount of training they need to do and the dedication of time and other resources? How do you ensure that that gymnast sets reasonable and realistic and attainable goals?
I think that setting the realistic goal is not easy because many gymnasts want to set a lofty goals and difficult goals to achieve. But from my perspective, like just giving the facts, the reality, and also the situation currently you are in, like for instance, ranking and stuff like that, D score, stuff like that. This is very objective. So they understand the current situation. And then I talk about how to achieve your goals, how to do to improve your performances and things like that. So I think that reverse engineering is very important. So if you set a goal, how realistic it is to achieve, and then we can discuss. So that's why the communication plays such an important role when it comes to improving your performance. Without having that solid foundation of trust and communication, it is very difficult to move the goalposts and change the objectives and adjust to the realistic ones. So yeah, I think that everything is related.
I absolutely agree that the interconnectedness of all of those things is really crucial. And it's like the basis of all of the skills that we learn. There's a foundation, and from the foundation, step by step, you achieve your skill, or in this case, you achieve the trust, you achieve your goals, this kind of thing. I think what you also speak about here is very, very important. And we talk about athlete-centeredness a lot, but we don't speak so much about the idea of coach-driven. What this means to me and what I learned from some amazing people is that the athlete is at the center of all decisions, but in many ways, the coach is the expert. They know from experience and the education, etc., what is required to achieve that goal. And how can an athlete know when they're living their career, they're living in the training? They don't understand yet, they don't know yet exactly how much is required and what is required exactly. So I think first you build that trust through honesty. And when you honestly tell them, I appreciate your goal, let's talk about that, and you're honest with them about the goal that they set, then you can say, this is what you will need to do. And how can you build that, be that honest unless you first have the trust and they know that you are just speaking in their best interest? So I really appreciate what you said there, because I think that's critical to setting these attainable and reasonable goals.
Yes, exactly. I remember back in 2019 that when Kohei Uchimura turned to a specialist, because he kept winning as an all-rounder, he didn't want to turn to the specialist. But realistically speaking, I felt that this is the only chance that if he turns to a specialist and then go to a, competitions and then, domestic selections, it's going to be so competitive. At that time, he was like 32 years old and getting older and older. It gets so much harder to do a all round and to become a team. So that's why I had to make a decision to suggest that he should turn to hyper specialist. So I think that that's why I needed to build a really good, strong trust and foundation. Otherwise, the consequence would have been totally different. So, and just give them the facts and the scores and the realistic goals and how can we train and that sort of things. And it took me really long time to organize my thoughts as well. And I had to have heart-to-heart with him, just talk to each other in the gym, outside the gym, and pretty much all the time. And then we tried to figure out the solutions. And at the end, he was very happy to make that decision. That made me feel also very happy.
That's a fantastic example of exactly, I think, what we are trying to talk about here. It's perfect. You talk about, you suggested an idea to him and you had a heart-to-heart, a human-to-human conversation. And that could only have happened if you'd built that relationship up over time through truth and honesty. So, and I think for sure we know it was the right decision for Kohei. That concludes our presentation. Again, I want to thank you, Hiro, for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. And I also want to thank the FIG for organizing these seminars, because I think it's extremely powerful and wonderful to have someone with your experience and your knowledge available to share this around the world. The technology is fantastic and allowing us to develop everyone around the world. So thank you, FIG, for taking the time and the effort to put these together. We hope you enjoyed these seminars and look forward to seeing the results of an athlete-centered approach in your coaching. Thank you very much.